All right, so you know how we're always talking about AI, usually like way up in the clouds?
Mm-hmm.
Well, get ready to bring it down to earth because today we're diving into edge AI. It's like AI went mobile, but seriously powerful.
It did. It's true.
And we've got expert speaker here to help us break it all down.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
So imagine, expert speaker, I'm wearing my smartwatch, right? And it's not just telling time, it's using AI to like actually understand my health data right there on my wrist.
Right.
Is that edge AI in action?
That is edge AI in action. Exactly. It's bringing the brain power of AI directly to the device instead of relying on that round trip to a data center that could be, who knows how far away.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Okay.
And it really is a paradigm shift. We're talking about moving away from this centralized model of AI to something that's much more distributed. And it matters now more than ever because of the explosion of IoT, Internet of Things.
Right. Everything's got a sensor. Everything's collecting data.
Exactly. And 5G, of course, is a huge part of this, making it possible to handle all that data in real time.
Okay. So less lag, more speed.
Yeah.
I get that. But where does this really make a difference? Like, life or death kind of difference. I think the material we were looking at mentioned autonomous vehicles, right?
Right.
Are we talking like self-driving cars making split-second decisions?
Absolutely. That's a perfect example. For a self-driving car to operate safely, it needs to be able to process information and make decisions in real time.
Yeah?
You can't afford to have, that lag, that latency.
Right. A self-driving car can't exactly hit the brakes a few seconds after it needs to.
Exactly. So you have all these sensors on the car, cameras, radar, LiDAR, constantly gathering data about the car's surroundings.
Right.
And with Edge AI, that data is processed right there in the car by an onboard AI system.
Wow. So it's not sending that information to some like mega computer. It's all happening in the vehicle.
Exactly. And that allows the car to react to changing road conditions, like almost instantly. It's amazing and it's much safer.
That's incredible. Okay. So Edge AI, we're talking about like super fast processing, split-second decisions for things like self-driving cars. Are there other situations where that real-time processing is a game changer?
Absolutely. There are many, actually. Think about smart cities, for example. You could use Edge AI to manage traffic flow in real time, optimize energy consumption in buildings, even improve public safety with AI-powered surveillance systems.
Oh, wow. So it's like a whole network of smart devices all communicating with each other, making the city itself smarter.
Exactly. That's the idea. And then you've got healthcare. Imagine wearable devices that can monitor patients remotely and use Edge AI to analyze that health data in real time, maybe even detecting early warning signs of a problem.
See, that sounds like something out of Star Trek. Like your watch is telling you you're about to come down with something before you even feel it.
Well, we might not be there just yet, but it's definitely heading in that direction.
That's amazing. And these are just a few examples. But what I'm hearing is Edge AI, it's all about making things faster, more efficient, and ultimately smarter.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it.
All right, so we've covered smartwatches, self-driving cars, even the potential for like early health diagnoses. It all sounds almost too good to be true.
It does, doesn't it?
So expert speaker, what's the catch? Like what's holding Edge AI back from just, taking over the world?
Right. Well, like any transformative technology, Edge AI definitely has its challenges. I mean, it's not as simple as, just sprinkling some AI magic on a device and calling it a day.
Right. All right, so spill the tea. What kind of hurdles are we talking about?
Well, first off, let's talk about infrastructure. Rolling out Edge AI on a large scale, it requires a lot of powerful devices, and those don't come cheap.
No.
Plus, you need a really robust network infrastructure to handle all that data flying between those devices.
Right, because instead of it all going up to the cloud, it's like this web. It's going everywhere.
Exactly. And that brings us to the next challenge, which is data management.
Uh-huh.
With Edge AI, data is being generated and processed in so many different places, and keeping it all organized, secure, accurate, it becomes a monumental task.
Yeah, it's like, it's one thing to organize your files in a single folder on your computer, but we're talking about like a million different devices all generating data. It could get messy fast.
Oh, absolutely. And then on top of that, you've got the challenge of integration.
Okay.
Trying to get all these new Edge AI systems to play nicely with older technology, it can be a real headache. A lot of legacy systems just weren't designed for this kind of real-time data processing, so making everything work together seamlessly, it's a major undertaking.
Right, because it's like trying to get your old record player to talk to your smartphone.
Exactly. It's a challenge, but
Rough.
it can be done. Just requires some creativity sometimes.
Yeah. So we've got costs, complexity, and compatibility to contend with. Sounds like a lot to overcome.
It is. There's no doubt about it. But the potential benefits of Edge AI are so huge, they're driving some really, really serious innovation in the tech world. Some of the biggest names out there, they're laser focused on tackling these challenges head on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So who are the major players in this whole Edge AI arena? Anyone we should be keeping an eye on?
Oh, yeah, definitely. You'll recognize some of these names. NVIDIA, they're known for those powerful graphics processing units. They're a major player in Edge AI. They're developing specialized hardware to handle all those demanding computations.
Which makes sense because they're already known for building the brains behind some of the most visually stunning video games.
Exactly. They've got the expertise. And then you got Intel, another giant in the chip making world.
Right.
They're focusing on developing energy efficient chips that are designed specifically for Edge AI applications.
So from powering our laptops to potentially powering our smart toasters, it sounds like Intel is aiming to be everywhere.
It seems that way. And then, of course, you can't forget about Google.
Right.
They're deeply involved in both the research and development of Edge AI, always exploring new algorithms and platforms to make it more powerful, more accessible.
Yeah. So it's like a tech titan showdown.
Yeah.
With all these brilliant minds working on it. Sounds like the future of Edge AI is, pretty bright.
Absolutely. The possibilities are incredibly exciting. But, it's important to remember that with any really powerful technology, there are always questions, right? Things to consider.
Okay, I see where you're going with this. So it's not just about what Edge AI can do, but also, how it should be used, the ethics of it all.
Exactly. We've talked about the potential for incredible things, safer cars, more efficient factories, early disease detection, all of that. But as Edge AI becomes more integrated into our lives, it also raises some really important questions, like what happens when everything around us is collecting data and then making decisions based on that data?
Yeah, that's it's a little bit of a be careful what you wish for scenario, right?
Yeah. It is. As we become more reliant on these smart devices, on these smart systems, it becomes even more crucial that we think about things like data privacy and security, and the potential for unintended consequences. Like, who has access to all this data? How is it being used?
Yeah. Those are big questions.
They are. They're not easy questions, but they're ones that we need to be asking.
Right, and that's kind of what we do here at the Deep Dive, right?
Well,
we take complex topics like Edge AI, we break them down, and we help you understand, the so what, the implications beyond just the cool factor.
I love that. The so what?
Because knowledge is power, especially in a world that's changing as rapidly as ours is.
I couldn't agree more. Couldn't have said it better myself.
All right, so we've gone from smartwatches to self-driving cars, factories that basically run themselves.
It's pretty amazing, right?
It's wild.
Yeah.
And even the potential for early health diagnoses, all thanks to Edge AI. But as cool as all that sounds, it's clear this technology, it comes with some,
Of course, yeah.
big questions too, right? Ethical dilemmas, maybe even.
Absolutely.
So, expert speaker, it's time to switch gears a little bit here.
Okay.
And talk about the challenges, because it can't all be smooth sailing, right?
Yeah.
What's holding Edge AI back from just, completely revolutionizing everything?
Right. Well, you're absolutely right. It's not all, rosy. There are some very real challenges that we need to address. And honestly, some of them are pretty significant for Edge AI to really reach its full potential,
Okay, so hit me with it. What are the biggest hurdles we're talking about here?
Well, first and foremost, we have to talk about infrastructure. Because deploying Edge AI on a massive scale, it requires a ton of devices. And not just any devices, but powerful devices.
Right.
And that gets expensive fast.
Yeah, there's a cost factor there.
Absolutely. Plus, on top of that, you need an incredibly robust network infrastructure.
Right, because now all that data is not just going to one place.
Exactly.
They've got to go everywhere.
It's going everywhere. It's like a spider web of data flying around.
Yeah, it's a lot more complicated.
Much more complicated. And that actually leads right into the second major challenge, which is data management.
Okay, yeah. Makes sense.
With Edge AI, we're talking about data being generated and processed all over the place on countless devices and keeping all of that data organized, secure, and accurate. It's a monumental task, to say the least.
Yeah, because it's not just about backing up your phone anymore.
No, not at all.
This is every device, every sensor.
Exactly. It's a whole other level.
Wow.
And then, just to add another layer of complexity, we have the challenge of integration, trying to make sure that all of these new edge AI systems
Right.
can actually work with older technology.
Right, because not everything is brand new.
Exactly. And this is a huge hurdle.
Yeah.
A lot of legacy systems, they were never designed for this kind of real-time data-intensive processing that edge AI requires.
It's like trying to get like a rotary phone to like send a text message or something.
Exactly. It can feel almost impossible sometimes. It requires a lot of creativity, a lot of ingenuity to bridge that gap.
Wow. Okay, so we've got the cost of all these devices, then the headache of managing all that data.
Yeah, right.
And then on top of that, trying to make it all work with what we already have.
It's a lot.
It's a lot to overcome.
It is, but despite these challenges, the potential benefits of edge AI, they're just so enormous that they're driving some incredible innovation in the tech world.
Yeah.
Some of the biggest players out there, they are laser focused on trying to crack these challenges.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
So like who are these like edge AI pioneers? Who should we be keeping an eye on?
Yeah.
So, expert speaker, we were just talking about these big players in the tech world who are really going all in on edge AI.
Yeah.
But, it's not just about like who can build the fastest chip or write the most elegant algorithm.
It's definitely not. It's much bigger than that.
Right, because we're talking about technology that has the potential to like fundamentally change the way we live our lives.
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. We're talking about giving machines the ability to make decisions that directly impact our safety, our privacy, even our health.
Yeah, that's a lot of responsibility.
It is, and it's something that we can't take lightly.
So as we're like on the cusp of this edge AI revolution, I guess the question becomes, what now? Where do we go from here?
Well, I think the most important thing right now is to start having some serious conversations about the implications of this technology. Like, what are the ethical considerations?
Okay, yeah. Because it's easy to get caught up in the wow factor of it all.
It really is.
But we also have to think about the potential downsides.
Absolutely.
So like, what are some of the big ethical questions that we should be asking ourselves about edge AI?
Well, data privacy is a huge one, right? With edge AI, we're talking about collecting and processing vast amounts of data, often very personal data, on devices that are scattered everywhere.
Right, because it's not just like our phones and our computers anymore.
Exactly. It's our cars, our appliances, maybe even our clothing.
Yeah, it's everything.
So we have to ask ourselves, who has access to all of this data? How is it being used? Is it being protected?
Right, because it's one thing to like agree to share your location data with Google Maps.
Right.
But it's a whole other thing if like your refrigerator suddenly sharing your grocery list with like who knows who.
Exactly. And that raises another big ethical question, which is about transparency. Like, do we even know how these edge AI systems are making decisions?
Right, because it's not like we can just like pop open the hood and look at the code.
Exactly. These systems are often incredibly complex, opaque even, and it can be difficult to understand how they're arriving at their conclusions.
Which is a little bit unnerving, to be honest. It's like we're putting our trust in these machines to make decisions that affect our lives, but we don't always understand how those decisions are being made.
That's exactly it. And that lack of transparency, it can lead to all sorts of problems, like bias in decision making, or even just a lack of accountability if something goes wrong.
Yeah. And I imagine that as these systems become more sophisticated, as they start to make more and more decisions for us, these ethical questions are only going to become more complex and more important.
They absolutely will. And that's why it's so important to have these conversations now, before this technology becomes so ubiquitous that we don't even think about it anymore.
Right, because it's always easier to like put safeguards in place before you launch the rocket rather than trying to, change course once it's already in orbit.
100%. And that's really the message I hope people take away from this deep dive. Edge AI has the potential to do amazing things, but we have to be thoughtful and deliberate about how we develop and deploy it.
It's not just about the technology itself. It's about the choices that we make about how we use it.
Exactly. And those choices, they're going to shape the future of our world in profound ways.
Well, on that note, I want to thank you so much for joining us today, expert speaker. It's been a fascinating conversation.
It really has. Thanks for having me.
And to our listeners, we hope this deep dive into Edge AI has left you feeling, well, maybe a little bit smarter, but also a little bit more aware of the challenges and the opportunities that lie ahead in this exciting, rapidly evolving world of technology. Until next time, keep exploring.